So we're in the time right now of creating robots and AI, and what the manufacturers are doing is that they're coding the AI to behave and to think and to input kind of stuff the way that they want, right? So the code itself is very important. What I've noticed about life, when it says work out your salvation, when it says as a man thinks so is he, this is all coding that we got to implement into our own structure of life, our discipline, our self-control. It doesn't just appear. It doesn't just come. We implement everything into our life. Success doesn't just appear. It doesn't just come. We implement the type of characteristics in our day-to-day life through structure, right? Through order. We decisively put things into place on purpose as we see that it's going to best operate into our day-to-day structured life. Okay? Many of you have a routine. And so for everybody, it looks a little bit different. But for the successful people, it looks like discipline. It looks like self-control. It looks like things that feed the mind, feed the soul, feed the spirit, man, right? Successful people, whether it be we're talking about God, the God life, or whether we're talking about business or athletes, you name it. They all practice things, they code, if I could use that language. They put code up here, rules of ethics to live by and abide by, whether they feel like it or not. They don't allow their feelings to say, I'm taking a day off today. Because the code of ethics, the foundation that they stand on is, I'm headed somewhere, and this is going to get in the way, and this is going to derail me from the pursuit of attaining the goal that I want, the vision. So a lot of this, of what I just mentioned, has to do with the Bible. We're just using different language. But the Bible talks about having an eye to see, an ear to hear. How do you get that? Unless you set out to get it. You understand? You get stuff that you set out to get. In all you're getting, the Bible says, get understanding. Right? Some things you pray for. Like the Bible says, if you lack wisdom, ask God for wisdom. He'll freely impart wisdom into you. Right? Knowledge and wisdom are two different things. So wisdom doesn't change. Wisdom is something that never changes. So it applies 100 years from now. It applies 100 years ago, as well as it applies now. It's like the rules of the laws of nature. Gravity, right? Wisdom, how it applies to the structure of our DNA, the way humans move, operate, the way that they are in nature. Wisdom will have you to know that these things are the same yesterday, today, and forever. That's how we came to realize science and philosophy and all this, is because we came to understand, hey, right, there's only so many personality traits. Like, for example, people that bring up an argument against atheism, against God. People that bring up an argument. There's like 10, maybe 20 questions. But there's nothing more than that. So if you get to know life, as it pertains to the different structures of life that hold up life, the things that are most important, if you get to know the scenery of life, if you jot those things down, such as people, places, and things, what matters the most? Family, God, for some people, country. Like, what matters the most? Politics, whatever. What matters the most to you? You got to write those things down. All right? Because those things are not going to change, right? We're always going to have these different types of structures in life. And so you might as well get to know it, and get to know it really well, so that you can not only master it, but you could appropriate yourself and position yourself to getting the most out of the value of setting yourself in a position to extract the most out of it. The people that are successful understand how to maneuver themselves, flexible, right? For example, they don't get hung up. On a hiccup, a speed bump, a setback, disappointment. Why? What separates them? It's their mindset. They're looking at that like a predisposition of going into something is knowing that it's not going to be perfect. You're gonna have setbacks. You're gonna have disappointments. So when you already put that into your mind before you ever arrive there, when it comes, you say, okay, this is my first one. This is not my first and last one. This is my first one. And this is how I'm going to position myself to tackling this problem, so that this doesn't, the way that I tackle it, I have to tackle it with finesse, with gentleness. Otherwise, it's going to ricochet and cause other problems. Have you ever seen one problem, like a domino effect, affect something else that is not even part of that problem? But because how you handled it, you were so rough and this and that, now you messed up that and that. And now you're dealing with two problems instead of one. So, how we handle stuff, we have to have this up here positioned in such a way where we train it, we code it to understand not just life, understand our flaws. Or like, for example, I'm a person that I like results. I'm a result oriented type of person, right? So like, if say I give you a task and you're working on it, right? And I give you the time that I think that you could be finished by it, right? And I see that you're only, say, beginning or somewhere in the midst of the beginner / middle of it, right? The first thing that comes to my mind is you're slacking off, right? The first thing that comes to my mind is like, are you capable? What's going on, right? So if I don't handle that correctly, I can mess up our relationship. Do you see how that could happen? How I could come at you in such a way where I can devalue your character or your presence, like what you bring to the table, and I can kind of devalue you from what you bring to the table because I'm looking at, I'm horning in, I'm zooming in on a character defect or something that I do better than you at. And so then, you know, I'm trying to tell people that you can deal with stuff, that you can push your feelings aside, your emotions aside. You can calculate, how should I go about this in real time? You can, using breathing exercises, and you can talk to that person in such a way where you can inspire them, motivate them, and push them to getting the right results and keeping them, versus putting them down, breaking them, and devaluing them, and then firing them altogether, right? There's things to go about it, right? But guess what? It takes practice, chiseling, right? Character. So if you got anything out of the video, because I'm ending already, if you got anything out of this video, I would say get the coding down, because it doesn't come automatically. When you're born into this world, you're born knowing nothing. And so the programming that you have came from your parents, TV, radio, etc., school. And if that coding that they put inside of you, if it's not working for you, well, a lot of time it doesn't, right? If it's not working for you, who do you think is going to come and save the day? You are, besides God, you are your own hero, besides God. Because yes, I'm a Christian, right? My life is dedicated to God. But this is something that you need to understand. God doesn't do it for you. And I think that people think that. I think that people think, and I fell into that category once upon a time, that things would just fall from the sky. And I waited and waited and waited, and nothing ever fell. Oh snap, I have to go and get it. Oh snap, I have to work for this. Oh snap, it's not just going to be given to me. Oh snap, my bad. Because I interpreted favor and grace and all these things into just, give it to me. No, you still have to apply. You still have to do very good in the interview. You still have to study and show yourself approved, right? The favor comes in a roundabout way, like God sprinkles attractiveness on you. For example, somebody would just look at you and be like, man, I don't know why, but I'm drawn to you. But you still have to have the character to sustain that relationship, or that attractiveness won't be attractive anymore. Does that make sense to you? You have to sustain what comes to your life. If God brings you towards a place where favor is meeting you, okay, he brought you there. But guess what? He's been building you and processing you so that you can know how to appropriate yourself to keep that to keep that blessing. Because can you give up a blessing? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. There's so many things that could come to your life today and leave tomorrow because of not stewarding it well, not managing it well, being outside of the will of God, being, you know, a prankster, a jokester, a wankster, just like lollygagging. Like, it can leave your life. Anything and everything in this life can leave if you don't take care of it. So code yourself to really be about it, man. Really be about it. I got a video for you guys coming up, and it goes with this video. That it's gonna help you out a lot, I believe. So God bless you. Stay tuned.